Hello FlossTube, I'm PipStitch, Philip, and I'm back for my 10th FlossTube video. 10 FlossTube videos and it's only taken me 2 years. I had that perfectly in shot then, and Polly decided to go and move at the worst possible moment. So I hope you saw her. That was a bit of a preamble to my latest finish, which I'll grab off the fireplace in a minute. I hope everyone's had a great Christmas. It's been a very peaceful one here. We had a quick trip down to London a couple of days ago to go and see Sondheim's Company, which is a great show. And if you live in the UK and you're a fan of Sondheim, or even if you're not a fan of Sondheim, go and see Company. It's a really, really good show if you can get down to see it before the end of March. So there we go. You all had a good Christmas. It's been a while since I last made a video. I'm quite conscious of how long it's been, and I figured I really needed to get this uploaded before the Christmas decorations go down for another year, because it would then be another year before I got the chance to show the stocking off again. So let me go and grab said stocking and we can talk about it a little bit. That took longer than I thought it would, sorry about that. Okay. I think when I made my last video, I just about started this stocking, which would be, to my shame, the beginning of August. Gosh, it's that long since I've made a video. Anyway, so I just about made a start on this in the hope that it could be done before Christmas. Although, to be honest, I wasn't terribly hopeful. And suddenly it came together. Suddenly it was finished. It was remarkable how I really didn't think I was going to make it, and then suddenly I made it. So there we go. This is a dimensions kit. I haven't brought anything down with me to talk about the name of the pattern, but I think it's Welcome Santa. It's a dimensions gold kit. I think it's still available. I bought it off the internet about 2 or 3 years ago with the other stocking that you also saw hanging up on the fireplace, which is the one that I made for Nigel 2 or 3 years ago. Is it? No, it can't be that long ago because I've only been making videos for 2 years. Anyway, I made it some time ago. And then we made this companion stocking to go on the other side. So this is Welcome Santa. There he is. A lot of red, a lot of fun to stitch, and like I say, really not that long. Certainly nowhere near as long as it took to do the other Santa, which is Santa's Flight, I think he's called, which is full coverage. This, I don't know if you can pick this up. Yes, you can, I think. This, you can see, isn't full coverage. It's virtually full coverage, but it's not quite. A lot of the top is just still raw Ada cloth. A little bit above the door is still just the cloth. Santa's fully stitched. And some of this stuff down the side is still just cloth. And down at the base here is also, some of it's just cloth. Now, I had reservations about this idea of just having raw cloth showing on a stocking, but I actually think you really can't tell. Certainly not from a distance, you can't tell. And it gives a nice difference to the shade between the snow and Santa's beard and so forth. I think it sort of, you know, nicely delineates the difference between those two white areas. What else can I say about this? There's some bling in this, and I don't know if you can pick it up. I don't know if you can. There's some bling here. Is that showing? There's bling in the belt. There's bling in the bells here. There's bling in the wreath. It's blinging everywhere. Now, I was struggling with this metallic thread, like I always struggle with Dimensions metallic thread. It's really not great metallic thread to use, and I'd really struggled in here. It was horrible. Is that in focus? It was horrible. It was really difficult to try and control, because it the pattern asked for a blend, a tweed of metallic thread and a yellow colour, and trying to do two at the same time was just horrible. So somebody recommended that I think this is quite a common thing actually, and it's just me being dim and not thinking the thing through, to stitch it in the yellow first of all and then to overlay with the metallic thread. What a revelation that was. Completely different experience. Not only was it easier to control the thread, but it makes the bling of it much more apparent. Because you're laying the metallic on top, it's a lot shinier, although I don't think you can tell. But believe you me, it's there. It's shiny, it's very blingy. I'd asked for Nigel's opinion on whether I should include the snow, because when I looked at it on the pattern I thought, oh gosh, that looks really fiddly. And he said, yeah, I think it looks better with the snow. So I French knotted for England. I really feel like I've achieved an ability to do French knots now. A few people had said when I posted this on Facebook, oh, you could have used beads. I'm sure they didn't say it in that tone, by the way. That's just me adding a layer of drama onto it. They said you could have used white bead. That's better. And yes, I could. I could have used white beads, but I think that would have made them look far too uniform. And these are supposed to be snowflakes. So I think French knots work better because they're inconsistent. And I think they look really... Now, I'm not saying I think my French knots look really good. I think this pattern with these French knots looks really good. I think it really adds an extra dimension to the kit. So there were, I didn't count them, way too many. And the pattern required that you use 3 threads. That was not fun. I now think there's a new medical condition called French knot thumb, in the same way that there's jogger's nipple and tennis elbow. I think there's French knot thumb because my thumb was in quite a lot of pain by the time I'd finished this. It took the best part of a weekend to put all these French knots in. You may not believe that, but it did. But I love it. I love the French knots. I think the snow really adds to the piece. A final flourish of Dimensions magic. There we go. He's done. And by the time you've slapped these doobries in, it's a proper stocking. So Nigel did the biz with me again, for me again, as he did with the Santa's Flight stocking. This time we used red velvet. The kit does come with red fabric. I really wished it hadn't because it bled all over my Ada cloth, which means I had to buy new Ada cloth to do this kit because there was red all over. I explained this in my last video, and had it been full coverage that wouldn't have been a problem, but it isn't full coverage, so it was a problem. And some of it had rubbed off onto the white thread as well. It was like felt rather than velvet that they supply. It's a very, very cheap material. In fairness, it's not really, incumbent on them to provide us with, expensive fabric when they've already kitted the whole thing up anyway and gone to the trouble of designing the pattern and providing the thread, blah, blah, blah. So, it doesn't bother me that all they produced was cheap felt to back this baby with, but it bled over everything, including some of the white thread. So sometimes I was seeing some sort of bits of red coming through, perhaps in the fur on Santa's coat, and having to, switch that out. But anyway, be that as it may, it's backed with very nice feeling red velvet. It's finished off with this cording, which we bought enough of this cording when... I'm just going to go and get it. Oops. There we go. So, it's the same cording that we've used on top of both. A little ribbony tag at the side to hide the seam. This one is obviously blue velvet against red velvet, and this one also had a bit of extra zhuzh, advertising Thai jelly bean bears there. A bit of extra. That's a lie, I stitched that. This is the extra bit. This is the extra bit on the back here. Bit of extra zhuzh on the back that we didn't bother with on this one because it was zhuzhy enough. So I think they look quite sweet together. It's nice to do something that's a bit different from stitching a picture that then has to be framed and go on the wall, because quite honestly, you know, we have a lot of pictures up in the house anyway, and to an extent we're running out of wall space. So it was nice to do something that has a different purpose, that can come out every year and hang on the fireplace, and we won't get sick of the sight of it because it's only coming up for a very few days each year. So it was done, hooray. I finished it about a week before Christmas. The decorations were already up. The hook was bought ready for it in the hopes that it would be finished, and it was finished. So it's been hanging up since Christmas Eve pretty much. How magical is that? There we go. So that is my stocking. That makes 3 big finishes for me in 2018, which I am delighted about. I finished my Heaven and Earth Designs mice. I finished my Janlin Spring Sampler. I finished my Christmas stocking. So I start the new year with a more or less blank canvas, save for a couple of things that I'm going to show you now. I now actually have 3 whips on the go, breaking out in sweat at the thought of 3 whips. Plus, I'll not show it again now, but you may recall that I've been doing the Teresa Wentzler 12 Days of Christmas motifs, of which I've done 2. So there are 10 more to go. See, I can do sums in my head. I'm, you know, all over it. So there is another 10 of those to go, but I do those pretty ad hoc now, just really when I feel like it and when my eyes can stand it, because it's fiddly small stitching. But then again, everything I'm doing at the moment, as you'll see, is fiddly small stitching. One thing I have finally remembered to bring up to show, talking about eyesight, is it's getting awfully gloomy in here, isn't it? I'm going to rush this through because it's going dark here. It's about 3:30 in the afternoon on a Saturday, so the light's fading a bit. In fact, there we go, that's a bit better, isn't it? So I've been meaning to show these, and somebody messaged me before Christmas, and I only picked the message up yesterday to ask that I'd never shown the magnifying eyes that I use and what was the make of them, because you know, not all mag eyes are equal. Unfortunately, when I've looked at the ones that I use, which are these, they're fairly standard mag eyes. Ta-da! They have no name on them at all. They have no brand name on them that I can see. And worse yet, the shop that I bought them from went into administration. Worse because it, you know, bad for the shop. It was a handy little electronic shop in the UK. It went into administration about 4 or 5 months ago. So you can't even go to the shop if I said which shop it was, because it no longer exists. So I don't really know what to say about recommending certain brands of magnifying glasses. If anyone has any great experience with a particular brand of magnifying glasses, perhaps you could just drop it in the comments box below, in the hopes that we can share that knowledge around the world, because I have no idea what these are. But these are great. They work really well. The little magnifying glass bit just plops off and clicks back on, as you would expect. Very simple, and it tilts, so you can adjust the angle, you can adjust the headband. It does come with a light, but I've honestly never used it, and by the looks of it I couldn't now anyway because the battery's gone. I don't use the light because I have I use daylight bulbs anyway, so lighting's not a problem for me. But they're really handy, and they're kind of future-proof because they came with another 3 sets of magnifying glasses, including these babies, which are, wow, so thick. So as my eyesight deteriorates as I get older, I can just keep swapping them out and mark off the rest of my life in magnifying eyes for cross stitch. What a prospect. I don't always need them. I didn't use them at all for my Santa stocking. I didn't use them at all for my spring sampler. If I'm working on Ada cloth, I tend not to need them at all. If I'm working on even weave or linen, yeah, I struggle now with that. I'm short-sighted. I normally wear contact lenses, but often at the weekend I don't. And I don't when I'm cross-stitching, because my eyesight, I don't know, do other people have this? That my distance vision is appalling, but my short vision is pin sharp. So when I was doing those French knots on the stocking, I wasn't wearing anything, just looking really close up, and the vision is impeccable. But obviously it's not very practical to be permanently trying to do work at this sort of distance, so I don't do that very often, because it leads to headaches as well. But yeah, I recommend, if you struggle with smaller fabrics, and you know, I'm a youthfully 48 years old. I'm no age, and you know, there is no shame in accepting defeat where one's eyesight is concerned, and I certainly wouldn't struggle on, or even worse, abandon a project or not do a project just because I thought my eyesight couldn't cope with it, when there are perfectly good aids that can assist in the process. So that is my magnifying lenses experience. It's exciting, isn't it? Right, I have 3 whips. 3 makes me go twitchy. I'd really rather just have 1 at a time, but sometimes things just develop for a reason. And the oldest of the whips is probably the Peacock thing, just because it is. I've shown this once before and I haven't got very far with it, but I've got slightly further with it than I had when I showed it, so I'm going to show it again. I think this is a UK company called Lindisfarne. It would make sense that it's a UK company with a name like Lindisfarne, who produce I think they were commissioned or got the license to produce, I want to say Fireman Sam, but I might be wrong. I think they tie in with a cartoon series or a TV series of some sort. Correct me if I'm wrong. They also do things like tractors and motor cars, and these popped up on the internet on eBay. I've only ever seen them once, and I bought them. I've never ever seen them since. They don't appear to be on their website anymore, but they're really nice images of old style advertising posters. I got 3 in the set: spring, summer and autumn, and I started on spring. I wasn't 100% how they were going to turn out, because it's all just conventional cross stitch with very little back stitch, so the detail may not be great on these, but it's a fun little stitch. It came with everything. It came as a kit. It cost about £8, which is what, between $6 and $7 I think at the going rate at the moment. I think that's about what it is. So it came with a nice big piece of Ada cloth, and it doesn't, what's this count? I don't know what the count is. It's probably 14 count. I think it's 14 count. Ada cloth, just white. This is as far as I've got with it. You can see that. Can you tell what it is? It's a horse. This is the back of the horse, and these are the legs starting here, and the back leg here starting, and the collar. So I'm doing it by page. I started in the middle for once, just because it was easiest to do it that way. So if I just show the image again, you can see I'm kind of working bang center here on this dark brown horse. I think the key to how successful this is going to be is when I come to that wording at the bottom as to how clear that is to see, you know, what kind of clarity the whole image has. But it's a fun thing, and it's just a shame that I can't, if you like it, it's just a bit of a shame really that I can't say, well, here's the website. You know, yeah, you could probably email them and see if the kit's still available, or the chart is still available in some way, shape or form. Someone is probably going to comment now and say, yeah, you can get it on Etsy or wherever. So we'll see what comes of that. What was I going to say then? I was going to say something. Oh, that was what I was going to say. I, in my stupidity, didn't conclude the whole business of my giveaway. 2 videos ago, I did a giveaway. I gave away a couple of patterns, and I wanted it all quite low key because, you know, I didn't want to be naming people on the actual video. So I just emailed. So I randomly selected using a random number generator. I think I had about between 25 and 30 that wanted each of the charts. I did a random number selector. I got 2 names. I contacted those people separately, personally, and we did the deed, and the kits went off. Not the kits, the patterns. It was only the patterns that I sent off. And I never followed that up. So in case you're thinking that all went quiet and what happened, did you not even conclude it? Yes, I did, but I just kept it very low key. Hopefully the kits arrived. I think 1 person acknowledged the receipt, 1 person didn't. That's fine. By the fact that they didn't contact me at all, I'm assuming that they did get the kit and just, you know, just accepted it, and that's fine. So there we go. So I may do another giveaway at some point. It's a shame not to share the wealth with patterns once you've finished with them. I was thinking about doing something similar with the Dimensions kit patterns that I've got, to do those as a giveaway. The problem with Dimensions kits obviously is they have, mind you, having said that, the same thing with the Mickey Mouse that I gave away, because they have their own threads. So you'd have to do a colour conversion, not a colour conversion, a thread conversion. You'd have to, you know, find out what colours you could swap out if you didn't have a store of Dimensions threads. Anyway, I'm rambling now. That's one whip. The other whip is something you've already seen before, and the only reason I'm touching on this is because I took the advice of lots of people who I asked an opinion on. This is, Teresa Wentzler's Peacock Majesty. It's a Teresa Wentzler in miniature. It really is miniature. And the reason this came up again, if you've seen my previous video, and I won't assume that you have, so I'll just quickly recount the story. I had started this a couple of years ago using the fabric that had been provided by, who makes this kit? Oh, it's probably going to be, I think it's Leisure Arts, isn't it, that do the kits for Teresa Wentzler. And they provided 16 or 18 count Ada cloth. So I'd got a ways with this. I gridded the fabric, got quite a way with it, and then threw my toys out of the cot because, as you will know, Teresa Wentzler, being the queen of fractional stitches and blended threads, doesn't stint on the fractional stitches and the blended threads even when she's asking you to work in such a high count of fabric. And Ada cloth just is not funny for doing fractionals particularly. The blended threads issue isn't so much of an issue, but the fractionals, how close can I comment on this so that you can see? Pretty close. Pretty close. No, it's not going to focus. But if I just, that's tiny. That's so small, and by the time I'd jammed 2 fractional stitches into the same square, the reason I do cross stitch more than anything else is it relaxes me. It's a stress reducer. It's a major stress reducer for me. So however awful my day at work's been, and believe me, some days are pretty grim, I just unwind through the process. This was stressing me out, so it became a completely redundant exercise. So I asked opinions. People said, yeah, there's no point in doing it if you're not enjoying it. You need to do something about it. So I bought some new even weave fabric. So I thought it would be nice, didn't think this through, I thought it would be nice to just show you the difference. So I started this on holiday in Devon in last September. I haven't got very far with it, but I chose an off-white. I think it's some kind of antique white or maybe cream coloured fabric. I think it's 32 count, and here it is, restarted, but not very much. That light isn't helping at all, actually, is it? Or is it? You can see teeny tiny holes again. Ooh. But what a difference. So much easier. Those fractionals that I did in the corner as a bit of a tester, no problem at all. Absolutely no problem. Easy as you like. This is like pushing a knife through butter. It's so easy. And I'm liking the way it's turning out. So there's very little difference between the two when you sort of compare them side by side in terms of finished result. But I'm not going to go insane doing this. I'm kind of keeping this just, I don't know, as a reminder never to do a Teresa Wentzler on Ada fabric ever again. I could never understand why some of the kits do come with Ada cloth, and I was having a little browse around the Teresa Wentzler website, web page, and found out that they were providing Ada cloth before Teresa Wentzler really discovered the different fabrics, and she would now herself advocate the use of even weave or linen for her designs compared to Ada. So the lesson I have learned the hard way is think carefully about the fabric that you're going to use if there are a lot of fractional stitches. And I adopted my own advice, which you will see in my latest start, which I have started this about a week ago. Is it 2 or 3 videos ago, or maybe, no, it's only last video, I showed the Fairy Tale Village, which I had bought from a lady who is de-stashing, and I was going to start that next. And then I was looking through my stuff, of which there is far too much, and found the oldest purchase that I have in my collection, which is only about 3 years old, because time was I was very good about only buying things to start again once I'd finished the last thing. Does that make sense? And then our local hobby craft had a huge cross stitch sale. I mean, everything was half price, and I slipped, and it started a bit of a kind of a devil may care attitude within me to buying patterns and kits, which I've now put the lid on, really. The Fairy Tale Village was the last kit that I bought, and I have really no desire or intention to buy anything else now until I've made some decent headway into the stuff that I've already got, because quite frankly I'll be 127 and still stitching on some of this stuff that I have in stock. So I found the oldest kit that I had and thought, I bought this because I really liked it, so I should do it. So I'm doing it. So I've shown this on Facebook and I've shown it on Instagram. If you have access to my Instagram account, which as a reminder to everybody is PipStitch1, because PipStitch had already gone. So I'm PipStitch1 on Instagram, whereas I'm PipStitch everywhere else. So this is the oldest kit that I bought. It's a DMC kit, and it's called English Summer Masterpiece. This really appealed when I saw it in the shop. It had got about £10 off it, so the kit cost me about £20, I think. Sharon Jervis is the artist, and she has done a lot of work which has been converted to cross stitch. These are another couple of the designs that she has done. And to be honest, most of the designs do tend to follow this kind of format, where there'll be a central image with some kind of border around it, but more often than not, the central image kind of focuses on one thing. So there's a blackbird swan, and an owl's one, I think, and then this, what are they? That's an avocet. That's a bird. A bird. This one is slightly different because it's a bit of a mélange of British wildlife. And this really appealed. Now, when you look at it in detail close up, some of it's a bit questionable and some of it's a bit, what even is that? So I have no idea what this thing is that seems to be sticking out of the back of this hedgehog, unless it's some kind of flower that's in the foreground. So although you can look at individual aspects of it and think, yeah, it's not, you know, it's not, you know, but I think as a whole piece, I think it works beautifully. So I, before Christmas, was doing my research on this, having a little look-see at what they'd provided and how that would work, and the kit provided, DMC, obviously this is all DMC threads, all the threads were there, as was the fabric, and they had provided me with 16 count Ada. And I thought, well, DMC, they know what they're doing, I'll go with the Ada cloth. And then I looked at the pattern. Some of this backstitch is fiendish. You can't tell. Take it from me. These are the leaves up here. You're not just going round a leaf, because this is some kind of, well, this is a dog rose, isn't it, I think? So it's kind of like a dog rose leaf, which is jaggedy. And they've put every one of the jags into the back stitching. I mean, it just took forever. So I looked at it and thought, there is no way on this planet I am going to be able to stand doing all that on Ada cloth. It's just not going to be physically possible to do it. Plus, I thought the white was very stark. So I hummed and hawed about different coloured fabrics. I wondered about a yellow, I wondered about a blue or a green. And then I found this on eBay and went with this, and I'm very happy with my choice. So I am working on 32 count oatmeal fabric. This is oatmeal, so it's sort of a beigey colour. My start isn't great, but it's getting faster. Here we go. That's what I've done so far. It's a legless blue tit and a couple of dog roses, one of which is backstitched and one of which isn't. Now, these leaves are backstitched, so all this is sort of complete, and then this is just obviously still, I'm working on it. I don't know about anybody else, but if I've been working on Ada fabric for a long time, which I have been, getting back into even weave is really tricksy. So I've been quite slow in getting back in the hang of even weave and where the holes place. But it's a beautiful fabric to work with. It's just really satisfying. You know, it's very easy. After Ada cloth, it's very easy to pull the needle through. It's great. So that obviously is, where am I? That is that, up in the corner. The little blue tip was fun to stitch the other day. Oh, long way to go. But now I've got into it, it's less daunting than it was when I was first looking at the pattern thinking, this is impossible. What makes me laugh, DMC consider this to be a moderate kit. I have another one of their kits which looks a lot easier than this, and they've said that's advanced, but this is moderate. Moderate. I've had full stitching, fractional stitching, back stitching in 2 different colours, and French knots, a myriad of French knots. In the first couple of inches of this pattern, this is not moderate. I consider this to be harder than anything like Heaven and Earth, which is just, you know, just one kind of stitch. I'm not saying this would be as hard as, say, a chatelaine, which has all sorts of specialty stitches, but this is not a walk in the park, and is going to take longer than I first figured it would when I bought it, but I really like the pattern. My idea with this, again, just touching back on that idea of having loads of things on the walls framed, this is going to be turned into a cushion that no one will ever be allowed to sit on or touch, possibly even look at, but it will be a cushion. So it's going to have a different purpose to a lot of the stuff that I've already made, which is nice. Well, that surprises me. I've yabbered on for 35 minutes. I really didn't think that there was enough material. Material. I didn't think there was enough material to cover a video, which is partly why I've not made a video for so long, because I had really nothing to say. I just didn't feel that there was anything that warranted a video, and I was just ploughing on with the one whip. But anyway, there we go. Your comments were so welcome on the last video, and your likes and your subscriptions are all a joy. I really enjoy communicating with everybody. If I haven't left you a message, it is not intentional. I have a great big splurge when the messages come through, and then things come through very, people still, weeks later will still be commenting, and sometimes I slip then. So please don't think that I have ignored your message. I've read every single one of them, and I've tried to respond to as many as possible. But and then people send me messages from earlier videos, and I, well, it's never my intention to be rude and not to respond to anybody. So please believe me that every one of your messages is welcome. Well, the polite ones. They've all been polite. They've all been polite. So there we go. I'll keep ploughing on with my whips. I will keep ploughing on with my videos. I will one day make that Teresa Wentzler collection video. I will. I'll do that. So yeah, thank you again, everybody. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of Christmas. If you celebrate Christmas, or if you're just on holiday, that's great too. Enjoy the holiday. Enjoy the season. And a very happy new year to everybody. And we'll see what 2019 has in store for us. Just because it's here and because I can. Here is one of our Christmas trees. Ooh. And I'll leave you with then that. What a great way to end a video. Until next time, bye for now.